So let's open the meeting, the regular monthly meeting of the Simsbury Water Pollution Control Authority for October 8th, 2020. It is 7:09 p.m. So is it just us? Do we have any members of the public at all who are with us?
Yes, it's just us.
Okay. All right. Well, okay, safety brief. We are each in our own home, so we need to be mindful of our surroundings and be safe. Also, you know, there was a real tragic accident in Simsbury earlier this week, and two people lost their lives on 185. So always exercise caution when traveling, when driving a car. You know, always resist the urge to look at your cell phone or whatever. You know, just keeping your eyes on the road, because life can turn and end on a dime. So, so with that, let's, we have a quorum. So who is present? We have our esteemed Dr. Michael Park. We have Lucinda Dragolsky. We have Ed Kelly, Tom Hickey. Last but not least, Jacques Brignac, as being members of the authority. And we have our faithful clerk, Allison, and some guy named Tony here. So let's see. I guess the first item up for business is a request for waiver for 98 County Road. And it's a continuation of a discussion that started last month concerning the singers. And I have read the minutes that composed that discussion, as well as the July 8th, 2020 memo concerning that. And I know that there was some investigation that was going to be done to see what, you know, whether it's sound policy to do something, whether some sort of a counter proposal might be made, as one seemed to have been solicited in the letter, if a waiver was not going to be fully in the offing. So my only 2 cents before finding out, Tony, what the results were of that investigation is, do we have the ability to put a lien on the property that does not require the accrual of interest, and that would have a due on sale clause, such that they wouldn't have to pay anything right away, only if and when they sell their home?
I do not believe we have the right to, we don't have the right to set any interest rate. Only the the finance director can do that for anything that is financed. And that's just from past practice with all the assessments, that is the person who sets the interest rate. The section 7-255 of chapter 103 of the state statute actually states that any municipality may by ordinance provide for optional method of payment of sewer use charges and fees to the Water Pollution Control Authority if the conditions are met that they're part of the elderly tax program for tax relief under provisions sections 12-129B, and then other parts. There's lists other parts of that, and these residents are actually part. They actually have a they're part of that program for disabled and elderly.
Okay.
So that part of the state statute we're covered by if we choose to allow for a financing part of the FCC.
Okay. All right.
Ed, I think you asked about their taxes last month.
Yeah.
Last I checked, they had only paid half of what their taxes that were due on July 1st. I mean, I don't know how Simsbury works for taxes, if it's all due at once or if it's split out into 2 payments for taxes, but they had paid half of what was due on July 1st.
I think it's split into two. At least that's the way my mortgage company handles my escrow account. We pay
I think that's right. Yeah.
January and July, but
Mhm.
yeah.
Okay, so they paid half of their tax bill then, which
All right.
is appropriate.
Yep. I see that someone joined us by phone, and I'm not seeing a name for who has joined us by phone. So whoever's by phone.
Sorry, that's Jay Sheehan.
Okay. Hey, Jay.
Glad to be here.
Glad to have you.
Sorry I'm late.
That's okay. That's all right. Okay, so that's kind of what we can do. Any thoughts? I mean, if it's $4,000 and if it's amortized over 10 years, that's $400 a year, right? Which is like, I don't know what that's over 12 months. So that's 30 something dollars a month, right? So, which that's just the principal. That's not with the interest, but it'd be under $40 a month. So that's one possibility, right? Another possibility is to have just, no installment payments and to just have it just continue to accrue and be due on sale, which would relieve them of any kind of installment payment, and it would just, the lien would just keep accruing. So any thoughts about either of those two proposals, or maybe even whether or not it's provident to give them the option of choosing between those two, if we want to do anything at all?
So Tony, you mentioned the statute that would possibly apply in this case, right?
Yes. Yes.
So does it give any other guidance as far as what we could do financially?
It says you can provide an optional method of payment.
That's all. Okay. So because we were worried about setting precedents before, and worried that anybody could come and ask for this. So in this particular case, they do fit under the special category, which would tend to put a little bit of a fence around anything we do then. So
Correct.
then we just have to decide what they do. And I can't call up the original letter. What did they ask for in the original letter?
They hold on a second.
They're asking for a waiver.
They asked for a waiver, but then the last sentence is or any counter proposal you may have.
Right. So, okay. So because of the statute talks about other methods of payment, and when you look at the rules of statutory construction, by specifying, something you can do, the implication is that you don't have the option to do things that aren't specified under that rule of construction. So I don't think we have the authority under that program to waive the fee, the charge, whether or not we want to.
I would have to agree with that. I mean, waiving the facility connection charge would be a bad situation to start. But being able to give any payment plan or anything else, I think. Just another part, I did actually speak to the homeowner earlier this week, and he is open to anything that the board will give him, whether it's a discount, whether it's financing, anything. So, yeah.
I mean, my personal preference would be to give them an option of an installment payment plan at our interest rate, what that the town sets, or no installments, but interest accruing and have it be due on sale, whenever that may be. That way they can live out their lives, or until they decide that their present dwelling is not suitable for them any longer. And then when they sell it, then we would get paid. I'm okay with either of those. I don't know how you guys feel about that.
No, I'm fine with that.
So that we would be able to attach something to the property record, right? Indicating that we're owed this money.
Yes, it would be a lien. It would be basically just like an assessment.
All right, so,
I'm fine with giving him the choice.
okay. So does someone want to make a motion to give them, two alternatives for paying the assessment charge, with interest? One
So
being
we'd be given two options, right? One would, they could pay based on a typical payment schedule. And then the other would be that they would pay when, they sell the house or whatever, and that the interest accrued would be due, plus the payment would be due at that time.
That is correct.
Yeah. Yes.
And would that be up to them to pay or the potential new homeowners?
Well, that's how, okay, so the way real estate closings go, the lien would show up on a title search.
Right.
Okay. And usually most standard contracts require the seller to deliver good and marketable title to the property.
Mhm.
Okay. And so the title search showing this lien they would find out and call the town and say, okay, what's due and owing? And so out of the purchase price that is payable to the sellers by the buyers, a sum sufficient to pay the lien would have to come out of the proceeds for sale. And so that would reduce the net to the sellers. So they
Right.
would ultimately essentially be paying the lien upon sale with the buyer's money that is paid to them, and reducing their net on the sale.
Do we
And that would-
know?
Go ahead.
Do we know the value of the
Go ahead.
house? Do they know the value of the house? If they have any other outstanding mortgages against the house or something?
No, we have none of that information.
All right, so what's it's 98 County Road in Simsbury?
Correct.
Mhm.
All right, so I don't know if I click on to add something on my my web browser to check out like Trulia and get an idea, or Zillow or one of those sites. I mean, I could do that and find out in about a minute, but I don't know if I do that, whether or not I'll somehow wind up disconnecting me from this meeting. So I'm a little bit loath to do that. Maybe I can do that with my phone.
It shouldn't.
Now, when we're a lien holder, are we, where do we fall in line in succession? Do we fall after, how does that work?
I honestly have no idea.
That's a
All I
good
know, it's
question.
on a land record, so I couldn't tell you if we're first or last or anything.
Yeah, I assume, maybe they have a mortgage, maybe a second mortgage, but I guess we would be third in line. I mean, we're not talking a lot of money, so I assume,
Yeah, I would assume it would be
Okay,
one of
so the way the statutes work, certain things get a primacy, like real estate taxes come first. Some assessments for like water have, equal priority with taxes. I don't know whether or not a sewer connection charge would have a like priority or not. If it doesn't, then it's basically going to be a priority based upon where it falls in the timing of the recording of it. So if there are multiple mortgages on there, it may in fact, it would then be behind those mortgages. Now, sometimes people, as they get older, especially if they're on some sort of fixed income, they might even like take out a reverse mortgage, so that's something that they, could happen too. But as long as we are recorded before they do, but and are comfortable about where we fall, it is what it is. And, but we might have money at risk. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if we want to do a title search or maybe we want to get a representation from them about what they have as liens on the property right now for doing that.
Maybe what we do is we present the two options and see which way they want to go. And if they go with the installment plan, we're probably, we could just go forward with that. If they want to wait and pay it off when they sell the home, then maybe we do some more research. I'm not really sure.
Yeah, or we can present that to them up front. Say, hey, if you want to go with option A, payment plan, we can set this up immediately. If you want to go with option B, we're going to require X, Y, and Z from you before we move forward.
That sounds fine.
And no matter how long this takes, it will never be more than the $4,000.
Except for interest.
Except for the interest.
Even if it's a lien,
Yeah,
Yeah.
the interest.
would still accrue.
Right, but that's like what, 2 to 3%?
I think it was, last I knew, it was like 1.8%.
All right, so it's like 2%. So if they're in a house for, another, 15 years, all right, so that increases the bill by 30%, right? So we're going from like 4,095 to like what, 5,500 or less than 5,500. It's not huge. So, and maybe the value of the home might go up during that period of time, maybe not. We never know. But I mean, I'm willing to ride that risk. I mean, these people have challenging lives. I'm sympathetic with their situation. So,
Okay, so Tony, you'll present the two options.
If you
Yeah,
guys make
vote
a
on it
motion to
first.
do
Yes.
so, yes.
so I'm looking for
Make
a motion.
to suggest, to recommend two options to the,
So here's what I'm
homeowner.
looking for is by way of a motion. I'm looking for someone to make a motion that says, for us to vote on as to offer the homeowners two options for paying the facilities connection charge of $4,095.
so
One, by installment payments over a 10-year period of time at the town's customary rate of interest, with a lien going to going on the property to secure that obligation. The second alternative is the payment of the $4,095 facilities connection charge, together with interest at the town's rate, but with no installment payment obligation, and to have the principal amount plus interest due at the time that the home is sold. Which second alternative is subject to some due diligence in terms of the home value and present liens existing on the property. And that be something that we offer to these homeowners.
So
I
moved.
make that motion, whatever you said, Paul. So,
Do I
don't you
have a
make
second?
every decision.
You got
If
that,
you record
Allison?
it, Allison, that's my motion.
Second.
All right, Lucian so moves, Jacques seconded.
Second.
Any discussion?
Thank you, Allison.
Hearing no discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Okay. Tony, status report on the sewer extension projects.
Sewer extension projects, the only one with anything real, Murphy's Turn, the road is being accepted within the next month, and that will start our 1-year maintenance period with that road. We actually, because they had issues with the construction of the road, we put in the developer's agreement, part of that we would not accept the sewers until 1 year after the road was accepted. Other than that, Hendricks Cottage has already started their 1 year maintenance for that. Everything else is status quo at this point in time.
Okay.
Woodland Street, we should be having a meeting next month with the designer to go over probably about 80% design on that project. And I am sending an email to the state and our town engineer to find out if they're going to be working on that bridge right in front of Dino Nobel, because that will impact our project. So if that happens, we'll have to delay ours. If it doesn't happen, we're going to move forward with our project in the spring.
Okay. Good. So that's item 3. Item 4 would be treatment facility report. Any remarks on that, Tony?
Just so you guys know, we had 2 issues with our UV system. One, we actually had a mechanical failure with a low-level sensor. It's a low-level water sensor, which actually shuts the system down as a safety feature. Unfortunately, luckily that was caught within about 20 minutes. We put a new sensor in and got that back up going. Unfortunately, when our operators were cleaning it the week after, they accidentally shut the whole system off for about 40 minutes. So we ended up putting non-disinfected water to the river. We filed all the reports. The state has no major concerns with anything. All the reports were filed. PLC replacement that's going on. We have 2 buildings left. That was put on hold a little while because our integrator actually had to do a lot of traveling for his work. He's actually back. We're going to start that back up next week. And we'll get those done. And AECOM is still working on the water pollution control plan. We actually have the ability, right now we're looking at applying for a grant. I can't remember if I told you guys this last month or not. FEMA, it's a Sustainable Futures and Infrastructure grant that's through FEMA. We're looking to apply for that through to get the berm raised, because they changed the flood elevation of the Farmington River by 2.5 feet, which will require us to raise the protective berm around the plant by about 3 feet. So we're looking to get a FEMA grant for that money. And the covers that we put in the capital budget for the secondary clarifiers to prevent the algae growth. I'm working with Ty and Bond on that. We've been working with our town attorney to get the contract set. Hopefully we'll have that completed tomorrow and get that back to Ty and Bond and get them going on the bid project for that, for construction in the spring.
Okay. Very good. Any remarks by anyone else? Questions about either the status report or the treatment facility report?
I just have a general question, and I think I know the answer, but just to hear reassurance. I assume the plant and all the pumping stations are on backup generators?
The 2 small stations don't have generators. Hayes and Longview do not have generators, but we have a portable generator that we can bring out to those 2 if need be. Luckily, the size of those stations or the amount of homes that discharge into those stations allow us about a day's worth of flow to go into the stations before we need to do anything. So there's plenty of time. But every other station has a generator.
And what do they run on? Diesel?
One is propane, one's natural gas, and one is diesel.
Okay. How long could you think we could sustain an outage?
For the plant?
Plant and the pumping stations.
Everything is designed for at least 7 days.
So
the diesel generators, the diesel and the propane generator are 7 days. 7 days run time.
Is that because we run out of fuel, or is that because?
No, that's actually mandated. You have to have a certain amount of runtime for the emergency generators for the infrastructure.
But we could go longer, right?
Yes.
Oh yeah. Okay. I misunderstood what you said. Yeah.
Right.
I'm just, with all this EverSource discussion, I was just, just making sure we're all set.
Out of curiosity, how often are these generators tested to make sure that they're in good working order?
Every month under load.
Okay.
Don't you have to exercise them every week?
Yes, and we do. We test them under load every month. We exercise them, but we test them under load every month.
Okay. Good to know. All right. Before we move on to correspondence, any other questions? All right. Seeing no questions and hearing none. Correspondence. Are there any items of correspondence on which you want to remark, Tony?
There are none, I don't think.
Okay. All right then. Well, that takes care of that one. Then that leaves item number 6, September meeting minutes and possible approval. I don't know if anyone who attended the September meeting has not yet had a chance to review the minutes. If anyone has not had a chance to review them and wants a moment to do so, can they raise their hand? Seeing no hands raised, I'm then operating under the assumption that everyone has read the minutes and is either in a position to vote or, if they were not in attendance, to abstain. So do I have a motion from the floor to approve the September meeting minutes?
Jay makes a motion to approve the September meeting minutes.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second.
Third and fourth.
Any discussion about said meeting minutes? Hearing no one wanting to discuss after being invited to do so, let's put it to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'm going to abstain as I was not in attendance. So the motion carries by, I believe we had 4 affirmative votes. Okay. 5 affirmative. I'm sorry, 5 affirmative votes. All right. Before we reach item number 7, which is adjourn, are there any other items of business that anyone wants to raise at this time?
Yeah, I just want to go back to the first motion we made. And I think we want to make sure that we capture in there that because the homeowner qualifies under the statute that Tony mentioned, that's the reason we are able to offer this the 2 options.
Okay, that's a good point. So I think that is kind of embedded into discussion. I don't know if I don't know that we need to amend the motion as to but to maybe have the minutes reflect the fact that the qualification of the homeowners under the certain statute relating to the elderly and or disabled was discussed and was the basis upon which we proceeded to view favorably reaching an accommodation for them.
Yeah, because again, I think Tony said that the statute allows us to offer alternative financing approaches. I'm not sure the exact language, Tony, but
Yeah, I think
That's a payment.
when we write up the sheet that will go on the land records, because it's not a true assessment, it'll be a separate sheet, and we can put that on the land records that it meets those requirements for financing.
yeah, again, the only reason I mention is just because we're doing something special, and I just want to kind of bound why we're offering this. And again, it's because the homeowner qualifies under that state statute, just so anybody can't come in and ask for the same type of, alternate approach to financing the sewer connection charge.
I think if Allison makes a point of noting that in the minutes, we'll have something to reference back to forever. So I think as long as she does that, we'll probably be okay.
Okay.
I agree. Does anyone feel differently?
No,
I'm okay. If everybody feels the minutes cover it and we could go back to the minutes, that's fine.
Yeah, that's the minutes serve as the rationale, I think.
Okay.
Okay, so any other business? Hearing no other business, does anyone want to move to adjourn the meeting?
Jay would like to make a motion to adjourn.
second?
All in favor of adjournment?
Aye.
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 Jay, you just wanted to get another word in, didn't you?
The last word.